everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today is the day. It is finally happening. The last few parts of this series is coming to your close. I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who's been watching, liking, and subscribing. Keep on doing that, it's really helping the channel. And let's get on to what this episode is going to be about. This episode, I'm referring to this operation as Operation Endgame, kind of like the Avengers theme, but related to choppers. So in this episode, we're actually going to do the complete teardown. I mean, right down to the bones. The front end's coming off, the drivetrain's coming out, power plant's coming out. It's just going to be the raw frame. All the parts are going to be disassembled. You're going to see it at the end of the episode. And I'm going to start prepping it all for the finalization, which means the paint. Prep it for paint. I got to make sure the gas tank's completely sealed. I got to prep the wiring box, make sure that's properly insulated so nothing's going to short out or ground. I got to prep those tins ready for paint, so make sure all the welds are finalized. And speaking of welds, I got to go over all the finalized welds on the frame itself. I mean, I got to bust out the stick and the MIG and the TIG to get everything situated, clean, and then I can start prepping the measurements and getting parts ready to be sent out to be plated, both brass and chrome, and then I can start painting, which is going to be probably part 2 of this endgame operation. Thirdly and finally will be the final assembly and test drive. I'm really looking forward to it, so before I keep on talking, let's dig in. So as you can see, this is how she stands so far. The primary is off for separate reasons. The wiring is complete. I know everything's hanging out, but that is only so I can measure the lengths and see if everything works. So everything does. The ignition works, the brake lights, both front and rear, all light up the back. And now, like I said, the game plan is I'm going to start taking everything on the outside of the bike off, like gas tank, the brake light, probably the fender. Start down, work up on the front end, try getting that off in one unit, which is going to be a little tricky. And then I can start working, taking the guts out, taking out the oil pan, disassembling the inner primary, separating the transmission, and then taking out the engine. We should be right down to bare frame at that point. To give you a final sense of scale of how big this chopper is compared to me, I am just a seat hair under 6 feet tall. I can reach all my foot controls, and this is going to be my general stance. One thing I'm probably going to have to do is finish up the stopper for the front end so I won't oversteer. But other than that, yeah. This is the general layout. I can easily reach the controls, brakes, front brakes, everything. Accessible, easy. But I think that's enough of me talking. Let's actually get down to the teardown. ladies and gentlemen. I dare say we're about a third through. Now I say a third because I'm going to try taking out the front end as one solid piece, brake lines included, bars included, just so it'll be easier to hang up against the wall and out of the way. Then we got to focus on taking out the rear fender, inner primary, transmission, and then I got to work out this bloody motor, which is going to be a nightmare. And then after that, we can get rid of the rear tire and chuck this thing up onto some sawhorses, get ready to prep. So I hope you guys been enjoying, staying tuned. Make sure to hit that notification bell, share, like, comment. Let's keep it going. Okay, as you can see, we are about a good third of the way done. Like I said, we got that exhaust off, like that was a lot easier. I'm not going to take off the whole carburetor issue. I'll just do that later. I can get the engine on the table, so I won't be on my knees on the concrete. So in order to get this engine out, I first got to take off this inner primary via by the starter jack shaft, starter itself, transmission, in that order so far. Then I can work on getting these engine mounts out, which are held in by 2 bolts. Here, a little spacer there, I gotta make up for it anyways. And there's only 2 points of contact for the front of the motor, because most of the motor is also supported by the primary and also the transmission, unlike the Evo where these are 2 separate bodies of engineering. This actually kind of connects right down in the middle here to make it into one body. Therefore, the rest of the support for the engine is going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 if you want to include primary and transmission, which is mounted on two lugs underneath. I'll show you those once we get the transmission out. But enough yammering. Let's get the jack shaft out of the way. Inner bolts, which I think I left everything. No, I actually torqued those down a little bit. Anyways, take these bolts out, take out the primary, and let's get it on. Alright guys, so it's been about a little over a week since I last recorded this episode. My grandfather had to get ready for his road trip down to Sturgis, and like a boss, he's actually going to ride his motorcycle down without getting trailered. But none of that, there's a huge bunch of upsets that happened in the process, a lot of last minute details, so the entire shop was in complete disarray for the 37,000th time. I had to reorganize everything, and now I can get back to getting to tear down the bike. So let's see what we've got left to do. Okay, so we have just the engine, the front end, and the rear tire and brake system in the back. So, but the problem is that the twin cam engine, and especially how these ones are mounted right down here, hopefully you can see, I don't have my light with me, basically 2 long bolts run through it, through the top and bottom portion here, right around here. So, well, unlike an Evo or a shovel head or anything like that, instead of having a flat plate that the engine sits on top of, the engine slips in between the frame, engine mounts here, and they are supported by the bolts and transmission and top motor mount. So I gotta find a way to set up a jig so the frame is stable, and I can kind of wedge stuff underneath the motor to support its weight, pull out the bolts, and then carry across the shop where the transmission is. So once I get everything else set up, I get back to you, and we'll get to pull this motor out and get the frame down to nothing. God, this chopper is taking a lot out of me. Alright, we'll get back with you. Okay, so get some of this dog hair out of the way. So I just went ahead and made some wooden wedges for the cribbing down here. And I have one wedge on the rear and one wedge on the front. And I'm just going to just tap them in. Just tap them in ever so slightly to kind of alleviate some of the weight off of these mortar mounts. Which I can actually see a little better now we got the light on. Yeah, we've got two mounts, one down here and one up here. Unfortunately, when we rough installed it, we had the bolts going according to each other instead of with each other. So when I reinstall this for the final time, when this is all plated, we're going to have both bolts going the same direction just for the sake of ease. So just going to test this theory out. Tap it in. Uh-huh. Oh, this guy's stuck. Come on. Oh no. Cut him at the break. There we go. Go right out of the way. Oh. Alright, let's get it stable. You know that 103 earlier in the series? I can just deadlift that thing up no problem. With transmission. But a dry 88, man, these things are built dense. Like my skull. Okay, so now that we finally got the motor, transmission, and the entire innards of the frame is done for, I'm going to take a quick 10, 15 minute, 20, 30, 40 minute break. And just so I can cool off, because last time I was sweating this bad, I actually got heat stroke here in the shop. So I'm going to pace myself a little bit more. And then also, side note, I had my cousin Colby actually help me get this thing out of the frame. So kudos to him. Thank you, Colby. But now, once I cool down, I'm going to get a game plan to get that front end off. I'm hoping to get as much of it off in one piece as I can. Just so I can rack it on the wall. So when it's time to install it, it just slide on, bolt back on, we're good. So I'll catch you back in a few minutes. And tell you what, why not hit down to my merch store, link down below, Teespring right here. Get yourself some merch, help out the shop, help out the builds. And I'll catch y'all in here in a second. So was there an easy way to get that springer off? Probably. Like I said, this is working out for good for now. Like I said, I had the whole thing assembled, so again, I'll have to take off the risers, and obviously the bearings and all that stuff can be refitted, and it'll be just a few less steps I have to take. Thinking about it, I'm probably going to take off that tire anyways because I want to clean up those spokes. But that's for another day. So all that's left right now is to get that rear tire off, which is a little tricky because I had to make up a variety of different kinds of shims and spacers. So I've got to be extra careful the orientation of what side goes where. So we're gonna get that done, and next time you see this whole frame will be on some sawhorses. Let's get it going.